Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the secret vehicles in Halo Reach that you normally can't drive. So, throughout Halo Reach, be it the game or the game files, there are actually quite a lot of vehicles in the game. Some of them are, hiding in plain sight, and you may even know they're vehicles, but you just can't drive them. And others are just hidden in the game files, and we never actually get to see them, or we never even know they're vehicles in the first place. So let's take a look at them. Now, before we get to today's video, I've got a quick message from our sponsor, Dreamglass, and their latest product, the Dreamglass Flow, your secret gaming room. The Dreamglass Flow, now with Wi-Fi 6 and 5G support, is a lightweight and portable augmented reality glass that lets you play your games on the big screen whenever and wherever you want. The lens of these AR glasses, which has a micro OLED display built in, can produce a 120-inch screen with a sharp resolution of 3840 by 1080 pixels. It also has two surround sound speakers for a more immersive gaming experience. Best of all, these AR glasses work with pretty much any gaming device you have, including the Switch and Steam Deck, meaning you can play those consoles in much more comfortable positions without having to hunch over and stare at a small 7-inch screen. But what about your game consoles like your Xbox or a PlayStation? Leave them at home. No matter where you are, just simply put on your AR glasses and remote play your console games. Oh, and of course, you don't have to worry about friends screen peeking while playing against you on Halo. If you want to get in on the latest tech in augmented reality gaming, use the link in the description below to check out Dreamglass's Indiegogo page for more information about the Dreamglass Flow. Alright, so for our first vehicle, we have what's called the BFG. And I'm not sure which meaning it has in this context. It can mean quite a few things, but in this case, it's the AA cannons that you're supposed to destroy in the mission tip of the spear. That's right, they are actual vehicles, and they can be modded to be drivable. It's just it's actually pretty simple to make them drivable. So the way these cannons work is you charge it up, and it fires a burst of 3 shots. But I think the shots don't really do that much damage. Next up, we have the Frigate turret. These are the turrets used by the UNSC frigates on the mission Tip of the Spear, and I believe these are specific to that mission, which you'll see why in a little bit. But these turrets, again, they are drivable, and they're actually pretty fun to use. I do like them a lot, actually, and they're pretty powerful as well. Next up, we have Frigate turret space. These are used by the frigates while in space on the mission Lone Knight of Solace, and they're pretty much identical to the regular frigate turret, except the sound effects have been changed so that it sounds like you're in space, or kind of muffled and stuff like that. So that's basically it. Next up, we have Frigate turret medium. I'm not quite sure where these are used. They might also be used on Tip of the Spear, but I think they're like a slightly smaller sized version of the frigate turret, very slightly smaller. But everything else is the exact same projectiles and everything as the regular frigate turret. Next up, we have the POA Cannon, which is the turrets used on the Pillar of Autumn, which, as you can see, are huge compared to the regular frigate turrets. It's the exact same model, but it's just blown up. And these shots are very powerful. I think they're the same shots, same projectiles, but these bullets are very powerful, and you saw in the previous video that they were capable of taking on the Covenant cruiser at the end of the mission Pillar of Autumn. But next up, we have the anti-infantry turret. This is the one you've seen used on the mission The Package. They're supposed to be auto turrets, but they actually are vehicles, and they're usually controlled by an invisible AI, but we can control it as well. And next up, we have the anti-air cannon. This is the UNSC's anti-air cannon, and we see this on the mission ONI's sword base. And it's also usually AI controlled and firing shots in the air, but it is a vehicle that can be used. It's actually a very cool one, and I wish these were made usable in Forge. I could think of a lot of cool Forge maps to use them. Next up, we have the Space Phantom. These you do see in campaign quite a bit on the mission Lone Knight of Solace. You actually fight quite a few of them, but you never actually get to drive it. And they are drivable because they are still vehicles. They perform just like a normal Phantom, as far as I can tell. But their design is very unique, and it actually reminds me of the sword Phantoms in Halo 5. But underneath the Phantom, in front, its main turret, the chin gun as it's called, is also unique. It actually fires pretty powerful shots, and you actually do encounter these in the campaign as well. But this is what it's actually like, and it is quite devastating. There's also several turrets on the side and the rear of the Space Phantom, and it's just called a beam turret. it's actually kind of odd because when I take over it, I can only fire one single shot, and that's it. After that, I can't fire anymore. I'm not sure if that's how it actually is in campaign, or if it's ever used in campaign at all, but it is on the Phantom. Next up, we have the Space Banshee, which again you also encounter on the same mission, Luna de Solace. And actually, I know there are actually glitches out there, tricks to acquire the Space Banshee, but it's you know, it's not something you can normally just do in normal gameplay. But the Space Banshee, it flies really fast, and it's a little bit trickier to control, especially in a small area. And it has like almost no health. Even a few shots from an assault rifle could destroy the Space Banshee. Next up, we have the Seraph In Atmosphere. Now, you may be thinking that we could fly a Seraph now in Forge, but that's a different Seraph, technically. This is the Seraph that's used on mission Luna de Solace in Atmosphere. It is different than the one in Forge. How different? It's not too different. I think it's just missing its like Seraph missiles that you can use in the Forge version, but that's about it. And likewise, we have the MP Phantom, the multiplayer Phantom. This actually is included in Forge in Halo Reach, but you can't fly it. It's actually just more of a scenery object that you could spawn in, but it's not flyable in Forge. But it technically is flyable. A small change does make it flyable. So, you know, hopefully like one day we can have flyable multiplayer Phantoms in Forge, because it's already there. This is the exact same Phantom, it's just it's disabled for players. And likewise, underneath the Phantom, its main cannon, the chin gun. We are, of course, going to use it real quick and show you what it's like. And that is it. That is the Phantom chin gun, as expected. Next up, we have another one that you do see commonly in campaign, and that is the tuning fork in the game files, which we more commonly known as the Spirit dropship. And again, it is flyable. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that I've been playing in zero gravity on this map, and that is because some of these vehicles, such as the Spirit and the Phantoms, will just fall through the ground if I didn't have zero gravity on. So that's one of the issues with making them drivable. And of course, the chin gun on the tuning fork on the Spirit, I think it's pretty much exactly the same as one on the Phantom, but it is a separate vehicle in the game files. Alright, next up we have these really cool Corvette cannons. These are the ones also used on a mission Luna de Solace. They are the cannons that you see shooting at the UNSC Savannah, and then they eventually blow it up. And that's what these cannons are. The shots, they do an okay amount of damage. It does take quite a few shots to destroy, like the BFG cannon. But next up we have the Covenant Squad drop pod. This, I think you only see on the mission Pillar Bottom. You see it drop down and a bunch of grunts and jackals will come out of it. They'll be riding in it. And this is what it's like to ride in it. Now, if the hatches, if the doors are closed when I get out, it would actually kill me, which you can see here. So the doors must be open when you try to get out, otherwise you'll die. And next up we have the Elite drop pod. I think this one's on a mission Luna de Solace. You see it come down and elites come out. And it is also a vehicle that you can get into. And of course, I don't think you can actually shoot in it by default. That wasn't a setting that I changed or anything. So a little interesting thing there. Next up, this one, I wasn't aware it was a vehicle at all. But it's the ONI Exterior Security Camera, or really just ONI Ext Security Camera. It's probably used on the map ONI Sword Base, but it is a security camera, and it is technically a vehicle. But once I get in, I can't really do anything with it, so it's not a very interesting vehicle. But next we have another security camera called Security Camera Interior, and I'm not sure what this one's used. Probably on a mission Exodus, maybe. But it's maybe even New Alexandria. But it's basically another security camera. But this one's interesting because this security camera has a built-in weapon. And that weapon is the Warthog Horn, because the Warthog Horn is considered a weapon, technically speaking. And I can actually honk when I try to fire the weapon on the camera, it just honks the horn. So I'm not sure why it has that there, but it's actually pretty interesting that it is there. Next up we have what's called the main turret, which is the top turret of the Scarab. It was originally featured in Halo 3 and it's still left over in game files of Halo Reach. It's never actually used in game. It is on the Scarab in Reach, but it never actually fires at you. And it's beam is a little bit different now, but it's still fireable. Next up we have two vehicles, Bed Long and Bed Small. These are the truck beds that you see attached to the trucks in Halo Reach. They are actually used to carry containers and stuff like that, but they are actually vehicles. I'm not sure why these are vehicles in particular, but they are. And you can technically make them drivable. You just can't move around in them. You just sit in them and stuff like that. And if you were to flip them over with gravity, then you can actually unflip them as well, because they are vehicles. Next up we have an interesting one. This one is an odd one. It's called a Falcon Sensor. It is attached to a Falcon, and maybe you're actually using it to some extent, but I wasn't sure what it does, and it took a bit to figure out. But I will actually reveal that in my next video about the weapons in Halo Reach you can't use, because this Falcon Sensor also has a weapon attached to it called Falcon Sensor, and it's the weapon that matters. So we'll cover that in the next video. But last vehicle we have is called a Vent Cover Emitter. These are the vent covers you see on the mission New Alexandria, where you're inside the Synovian Center, and it's based on a map reflection, but you see like drones coming in and out of some vents. I guess these are the covers for those vents, I think. That's what it looks like, at least. But they are vehicles as well, and you can make them drivable as well, but they don't really do anything. So yeah, there you have it. That's what the vent cover is. But yeah, so those are all the secret vehicles in Halo Reach, some hiding in plain sight and some only existing in the game files. But all these vehicles are ones that you normally can't use for, you know, various reasons. But this video shows you what they are like and what it's like to use them as well. Some of them very interesting, some of them do nothing, as you saw. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it to be interesting, and if you did, make sure to leave a like. Let me know if there's anything else to check out or look into in the comments. But aside from that, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys!